Hello and welcome to Grokart Sport TV. Today is the first of a weekly installment where we'll be discussing all the news, results and the views from the past weekend's rugby fixtures. On our right we have Leonard Solms, third year Rhodes journalism student, Stephen Kisby Green, second year student at Rhodes, and my name is Sean Goosen and I'm a first year journalist student at Rhodes. Lads, let's kick off by talking about the Rugby Championship. Obviously round 3 last weekend. Springboks drew 23 all. Stephen, to the Wallabies in Perth. How big a result is that, considering the last time we won there was 2013?
Look, I personally don't agree with the whole. I don't agree that previous experience in a particular stadium has any real bearing on your performance on the day. I think the Australians are probably a lot more happy with the draw than South Africans are. You could tell that on Captain Ebenezer's face after in the post-match interview. But I don't think that the draw actually reflects how far the Springboks have come in the past year. I do think that South Africa historically don't really travel well, so I'm not surprised that they drew, to be honest, based on their performance. But I do think that they should be very disappointed, and I think that they are disappointed with that draw.
Obviously, Israel Folau and Curtly Beale were extremely dangerous in the wider channels last Saturday. Do you think that this is an area the All Blacks look to attack this weekend?
All Blacks definitely will always attack the wide channels. That's how they play. They build it up in the middle and then hit it out wide to Savia or Ioane on wings. Beale and Folau were devastating as always on attack. The defense against the wide channels was a bit suspect, to be honest, if you ask me. But yeah, I do believe the All Blacks will definitely look to unleash Ioane against historically the weaker Raymond Rule on defence. Although he has worked on his defence quite a lot in the past season, you can't deny him that. If we had Jaco Kriel in the side, maybe we would put him on the wings like the Lions do often to cover Scorsano. Without him, I don't know how Kriel will be able to cover the wide channels and still make an impact on defence in the centre. We want him in the centre of the field doing the good work there. So I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see how the All Blacks target that wide channel and also make room for Beauden Barrett's little tactical kicking that he's so known for.
Just back to Jaco Kriel. According to the Rugby Stats app, he's the top tackler in the competition so far, with 39 tackles. Leon, he flew home this week after he sustained a tear in his labrum in his shoulder. How big a loss is he to this Bokback?
I think he's a massive loss. Any player with that sort of work ethic is going to be very difficult to replace. I was a bit nervous about facing Vaya Fifita. Obviously he's out the side now, but yeah, the All Blacks are traditionally very, very good at the breakdown, and I think we're really going to miss Jaco Kriel.
It's an interesting call by Fifita dropping him. Why do you think they went with Squire? I mean, everyone this week's been talking about Fifita's impact on the test last week.
I was very surprised, but certainly they've got players in there who can really hit us in the breakdown. And Jean-Luc Dupré is not really renowned for his ability there, as much as he's a very hard worker himself. So maybe they're looking to target him.
And he has made a big impact when he's come off the bench in the last few tests. Stephen, as a former prop, Kuni Oosthuizen, his replacement this week, Ruan Dreyer, sort of leapfrog Trevor Nyakane to the starting 15. What do you think of that decision?
Firstly, I think it stands to sort of tell you exactly what Alistair Gauthier thinks of his structures and his plans. He didn't even involve Dreyer in his initial squad, bringing him in as injury replacement and then dropping him and then bringing him in again. And now all of a sudden he's starting. I think it's only his third test cap, and I think it's his first start. So now, if I was Trevor Nyakane, I would feel like, what must I do? I get 3 minutes against Australia, and now I'm still the perennial bench warmer. Technical skill, I think Nyakane is definitely suited for the tight head more than the loose head. That being said, I do think that the combination of Marks and Dreyer as the Lions combination will do well. Personally, I think Kutier's excuse of trying to keep the Kitshoff and Nyakani combination together is a bit shallow, considering the fact that he hasn't really partnered them up that often, with Nyakani not having that much game time. And also, I personally believe that Kitshoff, Dreyer and Marks would be the better front row, if you ask me, based on how on the particular scrumming techniques. Kitshoff has the ability and usually likes to go lower in the scrum, like Marks and Dreyer. The beast in Taurida, he's more of a traditional scrummager, sits a bit high but back, and then pushes in on the engage. Doesn't really lend itself to the new laws, but he has worked on it a bit, so he's giving away a little bit less penalties than he used to.
He's had a good year.
He's had a very good year. I do, however, think that Nyakani should have been given the nod at tight head, starting tight head this week. I think he deserves it. He's been working hard. He's worked on his general play as well as his scrummaging, and I would also like to see how Dreyer and Kitshoff work together with the team.
That's going to be very interesting. And obviously this morning the news broke that Ross Cronier has been pulled out of the starting 15 with a stomach bug. Francois Hogarth's been elevated to the starting 15 with Rudy Page coming in on the bench. Leon?
I've got mixed feelings about that. Ross Cronier has certainly had a big impact this year. I think he's taken a lot of the pressure off Elton Jantjies.
Seamlessly into the side.
Yeah. But I do think that Francois Hogarth is a very capable replacement. Yeah, certainly I think he's more suited to the Springbok game than Faf de Klerk was.
I'll just add to that. As good as Hogarth is, and as he's always got that X factor and that ability and that speed on the ball, I think with the new game plan and playing inside Elton Jantjies, he did show a lot of weaknesses against in that game in Salta, and his decision making wasn't quite there. I think he'll be the first to tell you that he had probably one of his worst games in his Springbok career in that Salta match. Look, we still came away with the win, but I don't think he can take any credit for that. But I do think that we don't have a more capable replacement for Cronier than Hogarth at the moment. As long as he puts that Salta game behind him, he'll be good.
Alistair Coetzee was quoted in the media this week saying the All Blacks are vulnerable. Which areas, if any, do you think that the Boks will target them this weekend? Where are they showing a bit of weakness?
Well, hey, I don't really think
Quite a statement.
Yeah, I don't think it's correct to call them vulnerable. I think that when Ryan Crotty is off the field, they struggle defensively.
Yeah.
But yeah, the All Blacks, they're a very tough side because you can have periods of dominance against them. Argentina dominated for a while, Australia dominated for a while, but New Zealand always hit you back.
Always come back.
And yeah, definitely going back to Jean-Luc Dupré, he's been used as an impact player so far, and he's going to have to be very, very alert because it's a totally different thing as such a young player starting against such a dangerous side, even when maybe not in the best form they've been in over the last few years.
It's interesting. Obviously in Canberra, the Aussies will take on Argentina. Australia are due a win in the competition. A few close calls.
Yeah, look, the Australians would see that draw against South Africa last week as a win for them. They'll definitely be a lot happier than we were, obviously. I also think that Australia and Argentina are both due a win. Last week, Argentina pushed the All Blacks. We could clearly see it. Their defense and their organization when it comes to defense and their discipline was a lot better than we're used to. I do think that they're going to be a lot more competitive than you think they are, and I also think that Argentina is going to hopefully bring to the point, bring it home.
Yeah. Well, onto the Guinness Pro 14. Southern Kings and Cheetahs host their first ever games in the competition this weekend against Leinster and Zebra respectively. Stephen, the Kings obviously basically had to start from scratch after the Super Rugby, the conclusion of Super Rugby. How many years, how much time do you think the side will need before they start actually being competitive in games?
I don't want to call a number of years because it depends on the team. I do think, however, that they need to actually hold on to their players. Over the past couple of seasons, they've lost a lot of players that are just coming into form, players that are just that are building a reputation for themselves on the side, and then they get swept away by the Sharks and the Cheetahs and the Bulls and so on and so forth. I think if they can hold on to their players and sort of restructure like the Lions did in 2012, they might. By next year, even they might even be able to be a bit more competitive. They just need to hang on to their players from season to season and build a team culture.
Obviously, Lionel Cronje was absolutely massive for the Kings throughout Super Rugby. He's off to Japan. How do you think Kurt Coleman has performed at fly-off in his absence?
Look, Coleman's been a bit of a mixed bag for me. I don't think he's filled up quite to the void that Cronje left. I think he's got a lot of. He's been around the block a few times, but he's still young in comparison to Cronje, and I think he's got a bit of growing up to do. That being said, he has had some moments of brilliance in the Kings jersey in the last 2 games, particularly that one cross kick that he laid out. On the whole, I think Cronje was very unlucky not to be involved in the national side this year, and I think it'll take a while before Coleman can become comfortable enough in the side to actually grow into his natural game.
Leon Leinster are going to be without star players. Issa Nasiwa, their captain, Jamie Heaslip, Tyg Furlong, Gary Ringrose. Realistically, do you think that the Cheetahs and the Kings this weekend have a chance of beating them over the next fortnight?
I think that Leinster are a very, very good side, and they're in good form this season. So it'll be tough to beat them no matter who you put on the field, no matter who they put on the field. And yeah, that being said, there's always a chance. It's a very different challenge for them coming to South Africa.
First time ever.
Yeah. I think that in the forwards, looking at the Kings game specifically, maybe they won't miss those players quite that much because the Kings are also missing Rousseau de Klerk and Etienne Swanepoel. But yeah, I think that certainly, particularly with Ringrose, who's very threatening. I think that the Southern Kings backline can rest that little bit easier. And yeah, they've struggled defensively. They've had periods where they've been blown off the park.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
yeah, it'll be good for them.
Well, keeping it local onto the Currie Cup, 5 rounds to go. The Sharks are sitting pretty at the summit. Doesn't look like anyone's going to catch them. Stephen, can anyone haul them in?
Yeah, personally, I wouldn't mind seeing the Lions come from behind, from bottom of the log, and topple the Sharks giants. But realistically speaking, I think there's only really one team that can do it. If they decide not to focus on Pro 14, and that's the Cheetahs. I agree that earlier in the week it was announced that they're maybe going to change it up and try swap the rotation policy, seeing which match they want to focus on per week. I think that's probably best. It's going to be a bit difficult with them moving, with certain players coming back and forth from Europe and South Africa every now and then. But I do think that if they do that, and if they focus on some Currie Cup games every now and then just to stay within the top 2, top 3, I think the Cheetahs are probably the only ones that could probably top the Sharks. Ultimately though, I think the Sharks are probably going to take it.
And Leon, sticking with the Sharks, obviously this week Sharks fans had their hearts broken when Patrick Lambie had announced that he signed for Racing 92 in France. Leon, considering the likes of the young talent that we have coming through, Damien Willems, Kerwin Bosch, how big a loss is Patrick Lambie to the South African rugby landscape?
I think you've nailed it by mentioning the young talent. Perhaps Lambie's move isn't that bad for the Sharks, even though he was their captain, because they've been without him for a long time as of the Springboks because he's had a lot of injuries. That being said though, this sets a very dangerous precedent for South African rugby. We don't want to lose more players before they fulfill their potential. And Pat Lambie was supposed to become a Springbok legend. I mean, he's been hyped up from a very young age, and it's sad to see his career in local rugby coming to an end like this.
There's a massive opportunity to learn from Dan Carter.
Yeah. But yeah, I just wish that Pat Lambie could have waited as long as Dan Carter went, but I don't blame him. He's had a tough run here. I think that South Africa just needs to address this structurally. Make sure we get
Maybe
the
get
right
central contracting systems in New Zealand.
and we must make sure we get the right sort of mentorship for players like Lamley to make sure that they stay.
Well, that's about it as far as discussion goes. Guys, we'll move on to some predictions ahead of the Rugby Championship tests. Stephen, Australia, Argentina.
Yeah, as I say, it's going to be a bit more of a challenge than everyone's anticipating, but I still think Australia is probably going to win out. I'd love for the Argies to give them a bit of a run for their money. I'm going for Australia by about 4-7.
4-7, Leon.
Australia have a very good record against Argentina. They've won 21 out of 27 games against them. I think that's going to continue. I will go Australia by 10.
I'm going to have to agree with you there, Leon. I think it might be a bit closer than we think. New Zealand, South Africa. Big one.
Yeah, I'd love it for the South Africans to pull out a massive win against the All Blacks, but realistically as well, I don't see it happening. With the injury concerns that the Boks are going through, and some of the concerns on the wide channels, I think solid 10 points by the All Blacks.
I think that South Africa are going to surprise a few in this game. But nevertheless, New Zealand are very tough mentally, and it's very difficult, as I said earlier, to stay on top of them for 80 minutes. So I will go the All Blacks by 2 points.
All Blacks by 2. Now, very interesting comment that is. Guys, thanks for the discussion. That's all for this week. And thank you guys for tuning in. See you next week.